Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Rabbit, and today I want to talk about The Eye of the Bedlam Bride by Matt Dinniman. This is the sixth book in the Dungeon Crawler Carol series, and honestly, this is a book that kind of this book kind of made me start question if Matt Dinniman really has as tight a control over the series as he as he has with the previous books. Like the fifth book, there were some signs of this. Like it seemed like he was starting to lose. He was potentially starting to lose control of so many different plot lines and stories and character arcs and these kind of things. This one, it feels very much like he lost his grip for a little bit. That being said, overall, it's still a very fun book. I still had fun with it, just not as much as any of the previous books in the series to date. Like like so far of the six, my least favorite, I would say, is the second book, and then my second least favorite would be this one. So that being said, I still did enjoy this book quite a bit. There's some things in here that just really work for me. It's just the overall experience when I take a step back. I have to kind of, especially compared to the previous books, I have to say that it's not quite on the same level. But let's get into it. So this is the sixth book in the series. By now, you know the deal with the general setup and all of that. Carl and Donut are on the 8th floor of the dungeon in this escapade, and they find themselves in a facsimile of a real world location that's built off of memory. And to make their way through this dungeon, they have to essentially play a version of a collectible card game. But of course, the dungeons have become more and more challenging with each level, and this one is going to push Carl especially in a direction that is very electric, to say the least. So yeah, let's get into it. So like I said, this book it reads like a dip in the series for me, and that's just because of the way that I think that's largely because of the way that this dungeon is structured. Like, because of the challenge that they face in the early parts of the dungeon here, it kind of demands like a slow start. It demands they go on like multiple side quests to achieve certain things before they can even begin to really progress properly. And my problem with these early side quests is that it didn't quite have the tension, like the humor, the suspense, that kind of thing that many of the other books have. There wasn't quite that same level of excitement to deal with these different scenarios. Like the threats that they face and that kind of thing, they didn't really stand out to me the way that they or the challenges, I should say, they didn't really quite stand out to me that the way that some of the other early dungeon challenges that they faced stood out. That being said, this book does also introduce a certain character in here that is the most red, white, and blue thing I've ever read. Like this guy is like this particular character is a standout character for me of the entire series. It's one of the funniest things I've read, not just in this series, but funniest things I've read overall. Like I just died when the way that this guy was introduced and all, and just the concept behind him and all of that. It's just epic. It's just really epic. So it's not like it's all grim and bad news at the early start. Like there's some stuff here that really works well. Like that guy is easily the most unhinged character of anyone we've seen in the dungeon to date. That being said, the real star of this show is actually the back half of this book, because Kyle gets thrown into a scenario that is just ridiculously emotionally intense. Like it's probably one of the darkest scenarios he's been thrown into to date. It sheds new light on one of the most hated characters in the series. Like it's a scenario meant to emotionally destroy him, and it emotionally destroys the reader as well. When you fully understand what he goes through, what like the ramifications of this in terms of his history and his personal life and all of that. Like it's absolutely brutal, brutal. I think this might be one of the most emotionally intense moments in the series to date. What happens in the back half of this book. So setting all of that aside, that being said, like, this is still very much a dungeon level, and you have all the standard issues that, all the standard challenges, I should say, that you face in a regular dungeon crop up here. Like, you have the constant tension in near-death experiences, the dog-eat-dog attitude when it comes to certain auto crawlers and these kind of things. Like, that's all of here. There, of course, there's also like the displays of humanity that some of the auto crawlers will occasionally display. You know, like, it's that balance. Like, the standard kind of stuff that it's just by sheer nature of the characters and how this entire scenario is set up. Like, that's all here. So yeah, like, it's still and in terms of like the dialogue between Kyle and Princess and all of that, it's still there. It's still fun. It's just that the most memorable parts of this book for me are easily going to be that one particular character from the early part of the series of the book, and then the situation that Kyle finds himself in at the end of this book. So like, overall, it's a good book. Not the best in the series, but with some things about it that could potentially make it one of the best in the series. Like, if someone told me that this, in many ways, that this book was their favorite, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt them, just off of the strength of those two particular elements I highlighted. It's just that for me, it reads like a dip down. It's merely very good in a series that has been great so far with every book, when you compare it on a book by book basis. So that says all you need to know about this situation. So yeah, like I said, all in all, it's a really good installment, and it just doesn't quite manage to capture that high that the previous books have had, but it's still very much, it still packs a very high emotional punch. And it just plays into the whole human element of this scenario, like the whole human element of this story that doesn't always necessarily get highlighted enough. So yeah, overall, great installment, good installment, I should say. Yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about Eye of the Bedlam Bride. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.